This is your Daily Detroit, recorded on March 18th, 2020. I'm Jer Stays. Our coverage of the COVID-19 situation and how it directly impacts Metro Detroit and Michigan continues. First, some top-line information. There are now 146 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the state of Michigan between state data and information provided by Oakland County. 59 of those cases are in that county. The first COVID-19 death in the state occurred this morning at Beaumont Hospital in Wayne County. The patient was a male in his 50s who had other underlying medical conditions. The Centers for Disease Control has a new national report out today that says that 4 out of 5 deaths so far are those 65 and older, and again, so far, there have been no fatalities among children. Joining me via Skype, my co-host, colleague, and otherwise man who knows quite a bit about the auto industry. And, well, we need to talk about that right now. Sven, of course, welcome back to your own podcast.
It's so nice to be back on the air.
Right? Exactly. And we're practicing good social distancing practices as you're coming to us live from your basement in Ferndale. So things have gone kind of pear-shaped with automotive here in the last frankly, this last business day. There's been a series of events, one of them an incident at Jefferson North right here in the city of Detroit, and I think that may have cascaded a series of things. Sven, what's going on?
Well, so the big news is that all 3 Detroit automakers have agreed to suspend production through the end of March or through March 30th. So that's Ford, GM, and Fiat Chrysler. And this is coming after a lot of pressure from the United Auto Workers Union. So backing up a little bit, the UAW has been very concerned about the safety of its workers. I mean, these are people who are working often, side by side, elbow to elbow on production lines, in plants, going to break rooms together in close contact, doing all the things that we're starting to hear we shouldn't do, right? Like everyone's, they've called school across the state to shut down for the same reasons. The automakers refused and were trying not to. They finally agreed earlier this week to form task forces at each auto company in concert with the UAW to basically look for ways to safeguard workers and safeguard their health. That turned into, I think yesterday, an agreement to start sort of slowing down production. They unveiled a series of moves that they were going to do. Like they were going to slow down production. They were going to stagger shifts. So they would leave time in between the end of one shift and the start of the next shift to give them time to disinfect and clean all the equipment and everything in order to, hopefully sanitize and get rid of any lingering bits of virus that might be around. But then today, you mentioned the incident in Jefferson North, which is a Fiat Chrysler plant where they build the Jeep Grand Cherokee, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Someone apparently, a line worker, threw up on the line. People, janitorial crews were leery of cleaning it up because they were worried, it might be infected, I guess. It set off a, series of, people basically refused to work and there was nobody to clean it up. Production apparently ground to a halt for 90 minutes, according to the Free Press's reporting, and eventually resumed. But, it was a crazy incident that, frankly, reminded me of sort of the beginning of a lot of zombie movies, like when the outbreak is first happening and you sort of witness in real time the breakdown of social order, where everyone sort of turns against each other and distrust is sown and starts to run wild, and it's crazy. So the bottom line here is that Ford, GM, Fiat Chrysler are going to be shutting down their plants through March 30th. That's the current plan.
Well, why had they been resisting so much? I understood that some automakers had kind of ramped down production, like Honda. I read something about that. Why the resistance with the big 3?
Yeah, Honda did indeed. Just earlier today, in fact, I covered it for Autoblog. They announced that they're going to shut down production at all of their plants in North America. So they've got plants in 4 U.S. states, plus some other plants in Canada and Mexico. But that's only going to be for 6 days starting next Monday. I think a lot of these companies don't want to, shutting down plants is a big deal. It's a huge disruption to their production, to their business flows. It's going to cost them a lot of money. I think the big question here, though, is how long are these shutdowns going to last? Nobody knows, because nobody knows how long the broader coronavirus shutdowns are going to last. It's impossible to tell. But I think, frankly, a lot of us were wondering, like, what exactly they were resisting, because it seems inevitable one way or the other that they were going to have to shut down. I mean, all these companies are citing concern for the safety of their workers in, making these moves, which, okay, like, I'm willing to take that at a certain face value. But on the other hand, like, even if that wasn't part of the equation, like, at a certain point, shutting down these plants would become inevitable, because they would build up so much excess inventory that they'd be forced to shut down just to, like, align supply with the weakened demand, right? I mean, nobody's going out right now and visiting car dealerships to buy new vehicles. Like, we don't have hard data to back that up, but when it comes out, like when we see March sales reports, it's almost certain to show a huge drop off in car buying activity by consumers, because those are exactly the kind of things we're being told not to do, right? Like, limit our trips outside of the house to essentials, food and medicine, essentially.
Long term, these automakers, especially General Motors, and dealing with that strike, long term, is this something that could spell a lot of trouble for the American auto industry?
It could. This coronavirus could spell a lot of trouble for a lot of industries. We talked yesterday on the show to Dane Barch from Eastern Market Brewing Company. Obviously, bars and restaurants are really suffering right now, along with the people who work in them. The auto industry is no different. Look, this virus started in China, which is essentially home to the world's supply chain, automotive and other industries. So a lot of plants have been dealing with just disruptions to their supplies. Essentially, they can't get supplies of needed components, because they've just been disrupted out of China or some other countries where production has shut down. I mean, Ford had separately has already announced, before they announced the U.S. plant closures, they had announced that they were going to shut down all of their European plants starting Thursday. So, yeah, this could definitely have a major impact on the auto industry. How much? I mean, it is anybody's guess at this point.
Sven, it's good to talk to you, man, even from afar.
Indeed it is. Thanks, Jer.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is looking to see if the state can work around the U.S. federal government to get testing kits from the World Health Organization. This was revealed in an interview on MSNBC this morning. Michigan is still limited to little more than 100 COVID-19 tests per day. This doesn't allow for a full picture of the pandemic locally. There are some private efforts to ramp up, including one by Beaumont Hospital that's bringing drive-through testing with same-day results. There's also work being done to see if Michigan companies can start producing medical equipment and accessories, from gowns to breathing machines to hand sanitizer. In an interesting story, MLive reports that a northern Michigan distillery called Mammoth has started making and giving away artisanal hand sanitizer. They're using high-proof spirits that wouldn't end up in your drink anyway. Additionally, an executive order issued Wednesday afternoon will move the property tax foreclosure deadline from March 31st, 2020 to May 29th, 2020, or 30 days after the state of emergency is ended, whichever comes first. Considering the severe economic impact of the crisis, one might wonder if there are going to be adjustments to the bills of life, like car payments and mortgages. Well, in a way, that's begun. Detroit-based Ally Financial announced today a series of payment deferments for their customers. For those with auto loans, existing customers will be allowed to defer payments for up to 120 days. No late fees will be charged, but finance charges will accrue. New auto customers will have the option to defer their first payment for 90 days. When it comes to mortgage customers, you will be allowed to defer payments for up to 120 days. No late fees will be charged, but also, again, interest will accrue. On the banking side, a number of fees for Ally have been temporarily waived, including those for expedited checks, overdrafts, and excessive transactions in savings accounts. There will also be $3 million made available to charitable causes, with $1 million targeted for Detroit. It's going to be interesting to see what other companies do to follow suit on this and blunt the financial impact on regular people during this crisis. The Detroit-Windsor Tunnel is expected to close to slow the spread of COVID-19 or the coronavirus. As of this recording on late Wednesday afternoon, the tunnel is still open, but that could change at any time. The U.S. and Canadian governments mutually agreed earlier today to a border closure for all non-essential traffic. Trade would be able to continue under the plan. Many Metro Detroiters have family in Canada, so be sure to look out for your loved ones right now. We will link to the tunnel's website so you can find up-to-date information in the show notes. The Somerset Collection in Troy has decided to close their doors temporarily due to the coronavirus. The mall will close tonight at 7 p.m. and will remain closed until at least March 27th. The full-service restaurants located inside of Somerset will remain open for carry-out curbside service. A number of stores located inside the mall have already closed due to concerns. This is the first mall to close in Michigan due to COVID-19. Regional malls were not part of Governor Whitmer's executive order that temporarily closed bars, theaters, casinos, and other public places. Joining me on the line is Elliot Disner from Beyond Juicery and Eatery. They've done something really interesting, and I wanted to highlight it to our audience. First, Elliot, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, obviously, you are somebody who is in the restaurant and food business, but I wanted to highlight something that you have been, leading the way to create, something called DetroitFoodUpdates.com. What was the idea behind creating this?
Yeah, so, we have 14 restaurants in the Metro Detroit area, and we just immediately when we started seeing what was happening, we were expecting a decline, and we knew that there was a bunch of restaurants in the area that were going to be in the same boat as us. So, I just thought that it would be really cool if, we could have a database that people could go to see, what preventative measures restaurants are taking and what new items they have or new promotions. A lot of restaurants don't normally have delivery or curbside pickup or any of those types of things, and everyone's reacting and adapting to it. So, yeah, I immediately called our web developer from BMG Media, Blake George, and he totally said, I want to donate this site. Let's put it together. And we got it live within a few hours. And yeah, and that's how it started.
Wow. So it really came together in a short amount of time with just a lot of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. We launched with, our 14 locations and a few of other friends of ours who are in the business as well. And then day 2, we had over 300 locations. And now we're on day 3 with over 500 locations.
Well, one of the things I'd note for listeners is that you've got stuff, all the way from here in the city of Detroit to you've got listings in Clarkson, Clawson, Milford, Plymouth, St. Clair Shores, White Lake, West Bloomfield, all over the place. So you really went all across Metro Detroit with this one, right?
Yeah. And, and we even have, branches, there's a lot of local chains who have branches in Grand Rapids even. So, we're just, whoever wants to be on the site, basically in the Michigan area, we're putting them on, whoever submits. And it's super easy for them to just simply go online, fill out a web form, and then, within, I want to say 5 hours or so, we'll be able to get them updated on the site just based on the volume of inquiries that are coming in.
Well, and it just seems to be a handy resource to bookmark, especially when you're trying to get those answers, because a lot of those services do not necessarily update quickly. It's sometimes harder to get into those third-party services, and those third-party delivery services, they also end up usually taking a cut out of the profits of these restaurants.
Absolutely. It's the best way to order from restaurants is through their own dedicated app or through their own online ordering. But, some restaurants don't have those resources built out just quite yet. So they do have those third-party, Uber Eats, DoorDash, those types of things. So, you can still utilize those if you're looking to get a delivery as well. And before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, how are things doing at the home base, the home business of Beyond Juicery and Eatery? As everyone's saying, we have seen a decline, but, we are staying super strong. Our team is pulling together. It's actually really awesome. We have a bunch of new items that we're launching from, essential kits for 2. We're going to do pop-up produce pickups from our produce provider at some of our locations. We're just doing really cool things to keep it fresh. And, it's really keeping us strong as an organization. So, we're making the best out of the worst right now.
Well, I love hearing these stories of innovation and people, trying to make the best of a difficult situation. Elliot, thank you so much for your time on Daily Detroit today.
Yeah, no problem. Again, thanks for having me.
All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you very much to my colleague Sven Gustafson, who came to us from the depths of his basement in Ferndale. Also, thanks to Cheyenne Nocerini, who helped edit and coordinate the show. We've been dealing with a lot working remotely, but we're doing our best to make this happen. Also, I know there's a stack of emails in my inbox from listeners. I will do my best to get back to all of you as soon as I can personally, but I have seen them. It's just things have been crazy around here with everything that we're doing, so I appreciate your understanding. With that, I'm Jer Stays. More than ever, take care of each other, and let's get through this together. Talk to you tomorrow. It's not like you're in studio, but it's definitely not like you're on the phone.
Wonder if this.
Right? Technology.
Let me get the cat off the table.
Which cat is it?
Orange one. The pod cat.
The pod cat. Oh, we love the pod cat.
Yep. He's a good guy. He's fluffy.